Welcome to Entrepreneur Conundrum with Virginia Purnell, where growing entrepreneurs share how they get visible online.
Hey everyone. Today I'm joined by Lisa Woodruff, the founder and CEO of Organize 365 and the voice behind the Organize 365 podcast with over 24 million downloads. Lisa believes organization is a learnable skill, and she's helped millions of people move from feeling scattered and overwhelmed to feeling clear and in control. If you've ever thought, I'm just not an organized person, Lisa brings a refreshing, practical perspective that makes progress feel doable. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being with us today. So, how did you get on this journey, and how was your journey to be where you are today?
I like to tell people I'm 54 years old. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I think as women, we go through a lot of journeys. We have one journey that leads to the next, So it kind of evolves by decades. In my teens, I loved being a babysitter. I loved being in other people's houses, running their houses, taking care of their kids. Then I got a teaching degree, and in my 20s, I was a preschool teacher. In my 30s, that decade, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I loved it. That was my ultimate goal, was to be a stay-at-home mom. And then as the kids entered middle school, I realized I needed more income. I also needed more flexibility, and that's when I started my company. And then in my 50s, I went back and I got my PhD.
And so linear, right?
Right.
So who do you work with these days? Who's your ideal people?
Humans, not AI, not digital. I like to work with humans. I don't know, maybe we need to start specifying that. I don't know. So I think that the one through line in everything is that I love the home and being a household manager. So there are a lot of ways that we talk about our households. You could be stay-at-home mom, parenting, homemaker. I can't cook anything. I could bake, but I can't cook. I prefer meals be delivered. But I love managing the home. I love managing the chaos, the organization, the people, the information management, the calendars, the schedules, the big strategic planning. And over time, I used to think it was organizing the space. So I was organizing. I did in-home organizing for 6 years. And then I thought it was parenting, which I don't give parenting advice, although I have been a parent. But now I realize that the management of the household really is a through line through life. And the size of the people in your household, the composition of your household changes throughout your lifetime. But the management of the information and the stuff and the legal things really are the through line that we need to have better systems for, and we just don't have them.
Yeah, they never taught us that part.
No, because they don't exist. Every single household manager has created their systems from scratch.
Mm-hmm. So how do you get in front of these people?
So the podcast is how I find my people. And I've been podcasting for 11 years. And I basically just have conversations like this where I tend to be very analytical. Like, why do I do what I do at home? Most of us don't think that way. We just get up, Groundhog Day, get up, feed the dog, get ready, go to work. And we just do whatever we've always done, whatever we've cobbled together or what we saw our family members do. And occasionally we'll be at a friend's house and we'll be like, oh, wow, I didn't know you could do that at home until you see somebody else do it. And then you can incorporate it into your household. Well, I've been in hundreds of households, so I have a lot of data in my head. And I start thinking, well, why does this ethnicity run their household different than this ethnicity? Why do people that live in the South do things different than people that live in the North? Why do people with large families do different than single families do? And then what are the commonalities? And so then I just have these conversations with myself on the podcast, and people listen to them and they say to me, you're able to put voice to thoughts that I had pieces of those conversations in my head, but never knew how to say it out loud. And you're like talking about it out loud on a podcast. I make the invisible visible everywhere.
Are you on other platforms along with podcasting?
So Friday podcast is not on YouTube because it's just an audio podcast. I did for 6 years on Wednesdays, I did an interview with clients that were going through the Organize 365 programs. I interviewed them. Those are on YouTube. I can't be everywhere. I don't know how everybody is everywhere. I'm everywhere the podcast can be. You can listen to the podcast on Audible. If you can stream the podcast there, the podcast is there. But as far as the video, I have Instagram. I go live every day, but yeah.
Cool. So you might have touched on this already, but are there kind of some misconceptions that people have when they start working with you? Or is it just, it always has to be done the way my parents did it or whatever?
Yeah, so I would say when people finally get to the point where they're like, I've had it. Like, I've had it. I'm not living this way anymore. I'm going to get this house organized. It's typically when I see people will articulate the first time, they're like, I'm going to make a major change in my household management. They're not really talking about management. They're talking about the clutter and the junk, and they can't deal with it anymore. So they come home from work on Friday, or they have a big long weekend, and they're like, this is the weekend I'm going to take back my house. And I call this Swiss cheese organizing, because what they do is they take care of everything that is visible and out of place. So they clean up the family room, they clean off the kitchen counter, they go ahead and they clean out the refrigerator, they might clear a path in the garage, and then they feel better because they look around and they're like, okay, well, it looks better. The house looks tidy. So I've done my job and now I can move on with my life because I've taken back my house. No, you've just cleaned up after yourself. You haven't made any organizational improvements in your house. You've just put everything away that you have to put away. And really, to truly get your house organized for whatever phase of life you're in, it takes a year. I know I'm not good at marketing myself because it takes a long time. But what I say is better than that is to actually focus on the spaces that when you take the time, take the whole weekend to do them, they're going to stay organized for more than a week. Because what happens in Swiss cheese organizing is next weekend, you have to do it all over again. The family room's a mess, the kitchen counter's a mess, all that's a mess again. So I say focus on your closet, your bathroom, your bedroom, like you're in 4th grade and your parents sent you to your room and said you're not coming out until you've organized your space. Especially if you have children, we don't do that. We send our children to their bedroom to organize their bedrooms, which are a mess 1 week later. We as adults, if we could put that kind of effort into organizing our bedroom, bathroom, and closet, which might take a couple of weeks, it'll stay organized for months, possibly a year. And so it's a better return on your investment of time.
So do you teach or help people figure out systems to keep it neat and tidy rather than doing like a mass exodus every now and then?
Yes. So I found that there's actually a cycle to getting organized. It's decluttering, leads to organization, leads to increased productivity. And Organized 365 sits in the middle of that cycle. There are a ton of people that'll teach you minimalism or how to declutter. I touch on decluttering just a little bit. I think people kind of know how to get rid of the stuff that they don't want. What happens is, what used to happen for me is I would declutter the kids' toys. And then they had nothing to play with, so they wanted to play with me. So that was a problem. So then I stopped decluttering the kids' toys. But also, the only way that I could feel organized was to get rid of stuff. Well, eventually you get to the point where you don't have stuff to get rid of. Then what do you do? That's where Organized 365 really shines, is that we teach you how to organize what you have left and to reorganize your house for what phase of life you're in so that your house functions for you. And then you can increase productivity. So increasing productivity is 2 things. One, it's making it look pretty. So bins and decorating style, that's after it's organized, make it look pretty. And then also digitization. So if you want to organize your information management, first you need to clean out the file cabinet, get rid of what you don't need, organize what's left into certain categories. Then you can scan it. Please don't start scanning your file cabinet. You don't need 85% of that. Don't go to the productivity of the digital space until you've actually done the organizing in analog.
Yeah. You're not organizing all of your clutter.
Exactly.
So what are some big goals that you have in the next year or two?
So I am finishing my PhD, and my book will be coming out at the time of this recording tomorrow, and I will be graduating next week. So I'll be getting my PhD next week. I'm super excited. I went back to school to get a degree in applied psychology so that I could do research. Back in 2021, I hired somebody with a PhD to come on staff and do some research. It was then that I learned that academia is its own little universe. And the things that happen in academia actually live much longer than the company or the founder does. So I want our work to have significance. But also, there's some scientific testing we could do of the Organized 365 products and services that we've created to see if they improve executive function. Anecdotally, we see they have. Our customers say they do. But until I can actually run scientific experiments to see if there is a measured difference in executive function before and after using these systems, I can't actually claim that. And of course, you can't prove anything in academia, I know. So those of you who have PhDs, I know I can't prove anything. But we could suggest or support. And there are no non-pharmaceutical interventions for ADHD for adults. There are for children, and I was a teacher, and I would use those all the time. But none of those have been tested in adult populations. And so that's what I want to do next.
That
just exciting. A little goal.
You're going to live forever anyway, so you better as well.
Trying.
Right? So what do you feel is your biggest roadblock from achieving that?
I think it could be time, it could be money, it could be focus, and I have plans for those. So time, I've gotten really good. When I decided to go back to school and get my PhD, it's 25 hours a week for 3.5 years that I spent on getting the PhD. So I blocked that time. So because I'm used to working half day Monday, all day Thursdays, all day Saturdays on my PhD, I could go down to just working all day Thursdays on research and still have plenty of time to make this goal, as long as I don't let my focus deviate from making something significant happen on a Thursday. So time, focus, and then money. Most people get a PhD and they have scholarships in order to get the PhD. I just used revenue from the company to pay for it. And then once they get the PhD, they make more money because they have services that a PhD would pay you more for. I don't have any of those. And then they are part of a university where they do the research inside the university, and the university will pay for the research, or they could get a grant. I'm not doing any of those things either. So I am really oddball in academia because I just paid for my own PhD and I'm going to do my own research and I'm going to fund my own research. I'm going to collaborate with other people in academia, of course, in order to get it published and to do the research. But I think that that is an out-of-the-box way of thinking about research that normal academics don't think about. And so that could be a strength and a limitation because entrepreneurs tend to move a little bit quicker than academics do. And so I'm learning that I need to slow down because there is, doing science is a lot of detail work. So I will be having a lot of people on my team that like details because I'm such a big picture person, but also I'm going to push the envelope. We don't have to take years and years and years to do this. Like run a study, replicate the study, publish the study. Like let's move this along.
And what's really cool is you already have a large pool of people that you could go to and approach and be like, hey, do you want to be part of this?
Right. And we absolutely are going to do that. That's called a convenience sample. Or as my chair has now corrected me, she said that's actually a contaminated sample because they already know about the Sunday basket. I'm like, oh, details. This is where I'm talking about the details of your problem. But I have a 3-step plan. Like if I do this with our audience who don't have a Sunday basket, we could do a pre-test, post-test. Then there is a place in Cincinnati that I have a relationship with that would have a sample that would not know about Organize 365, but the organization knows about me. So that'd be a good test. And then if I can find support in both of those, I'm going to go to Cincinnati Children's. And they are doing a lot of research with children that's non-pharmaceutical and pharmaceutical for ADHD. So once I could show support, I'm hoping that that research will then work with me.
That's super exciting. I hope it works out for you.
Oh, thank you. Me too. We'll see. Or, if you're listening and you're like, okay, but if that doesn't work, Lisa, I would like to work with you. Hey, come on, email me. Let's go. If I'm not too crazy for you, I would love to.
On that note, so how do we work with you one-on-one type of idea?
Okay, so I don't do one-on-one anymore. I used to do in-home organizing, and that's very expensive. And I am a trained teacher, so I realize that organization is a learnable skill. And so as people start to listen to the podcast and they're like, ooh, I can professionalize my role as household manager and run this economic entity that I am responsible for, you just buy into the different courses. So you could get everything and it's less than a preschool education, or you could just start with the Sunday basket, which is less than $200 and plan your week. And I'm like your 4th grade teacher where I teach you all the things that you need to do household management. And it takes you a year or so to really implement them all. And then you've got a strong foundation for running your household.
Gotcha. So on that note, sorry. So you have your book for PhD that you're publishing, but what is that one about?
Okay, so I don't have any PhD books yet. It does say PhD on the title because my chair was
your name.
Just go ahead and put the PhD on there. You're going to be a PhD like the next week, so it's okay. Like, go ahead and put it on there. I was like, thank you so much. So the book that I'm publishing right now, Escaping Quicksand, is my 6th book. And this book is all the mental mindset shifts I made in my 40s, which allowed me to get organized and stay organized. So I'm sure that people have, I'm going to pay off debt, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to get organized. And we do these things and we actually achieve the goal and then we fall right back into our old patterns, right? So in my 40s, I realized that while I got and stayed organized, there were also some significant things that I changed in how I thought and behaved that made me a more positive, proactive, purposeful person versus the reactive, depressed, overwhelmed person I had been in my late 30s. And so these are the 10 steps of things that the mental mindset shifts. I am so passionate about trying to make visible the invisible of what productive women are doing, because it is an inside job, just like running your household. Every single person, you probably have something that's like the Sunday basket. Obviously, you have to. You have to do weekly planning. You have to do bill planning. Everyone has cobbled this together. And as women, we're so used to being independent and resourceful and figuring it out on our own and doing the best we can with what we have. And somewhere along the way, we have some significant mindset shifts that move us more into positive productivity. How do we do that? How do we do that? And you can research productive people, and often you look at the visible signs. Well, they outsourced their cleaning, or they were able to get a degree or something like that. But it's the internal shifts that woman made, usually years or a decade prior, that turned into the productive person she was. So that's what I was trying to figure out. What were the little things that I stopped accepting or tolerating that helped me become so positive and proactive in my second half of life?
And is that really how we get out of overwhelm?
So it's not how we get out of overwhelm, but once you think about the problem differently, then you're willing to bring more resources to bear. So for example, this idea of being a perfectionist versus being a woman of excellence. I have never been able to get straight A's ever. Well, when my husband dumped me in my last year of college, I got straight A's that semester because, what else was I going to do? So until my last semester of college when I was 22, I'd never gotten straight A's my entire life. As a matter of fact, I had a floating C because I had dyslexia and I just wasn't capable of getting straight A's. It wasn't something I could do. So I was never able to be a perfectionist. I knew that. But when I was a stay-at-home mom, the thing that I always wanted to do, and I was trained as an early childhood educator, I really tried to be an A+ wife, mother, all those things. And I would do everything perfectly. And then someone would mention, your button is off, or you missed a spot when you were painting, or, the children's shoes are on the wrong feet or whatever, because I let them dress themselves. And I was like, dang it, I didn't hit the mark. I wasn't perfect. And I kept striving for that. And it's exhausting. It's so exhausting to try to be perfect. And I realized it wasn't doable. So I said to myself, well, I'm not perfect. So then I started being really sarcastic and flippant. And people would point things out. And I'd be like, yeah, well, I'm just not perfect. I'm not as good as you. I'm just not perfect. And that was okay because it relieved the stress a little bit. But it made me feel bad about myself. Like, they're perfect and I'm not perfect. There's something wrong with me. Well, in my 40s, I realized that, okay, that's not really a fair assessment. Because yes, I can't be perfect. Nobody can be perfect, actually. But I do try really hard. I bring excellent effort to everything that I do. I think about things. I'm not flippant. I'm very purposeful in what I do. I bring excellent effort. I am a person of excellence. And when I realized that, and I stopped trying to be perfect, but I replaced it with excellence, it replaced that judgment I was feeling and I was giving with grace. I accepted grace and I gave grace. And that is such a different feeling. Now, back to overwhelm. When you're overwhelmed because you're trying to do everything perfectly and you're judging yourself, you have a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. When you're overwhelmed and you realize there's no such thing as perfection and it's impossible to get all of this done, you go, okay, well, I can't get it all done. So what are the essential things that we need to do so that we all live through the day? Now you're picking out the essential things and doing them and realizing you're set up for failure. So you're doing well with whatever you get done. Yes, you're still not getting it all done, but you're not judging yourself while you're not getting it all done.
Right. Everybody is still alive. They might not
Right.
be as full as they want to be.
Exactly.
What's some of the best advice that you have ever received?
I was thinking about this question, and there are a lot of things I could say. But I remember I was in high school and my dad said to me, everyone is replaceable. Now, the interesting thing about that conversation is when I was in 8th grade, he took on a new job. He was a regional sales manager for Glidden Paint, and he went to sell an industrial product in a small company. And that company had never had a salesman before, and that's what my dad is. He's a salesman. So he went through every single customer, and he called every single customer, and he doubled their sales in 1 year. And they were like, whoa, because they were like, well, if my dad leaves, like they're going to lose a lot of revenue because they didn't know how to sell. They didn't even know that was a thing. They filled orders as the phone rang. That's how they filled orders. So my dad became a partner in the company. And so this is 3 years into this company. We went from, I don't know, regular income to really nice income. We were going on trips and all these things. And he said to me, everyone is replaceable. And this is after he had doubled the sales of a company of 100 people and everybody got bonuses and all that. And he's like, even me, I am replaceable in this company. Someone else can come in and do this. And so I think that is the best advice, because even if you're the owner of the company, someone can replace you. And when you know that, it does two things. Number one, you don't take yourself so seriously because everyone is replaceable. And number two, when you are a business owner or have to think about your household management and the different service providers you have, and you're going to switch service providers and you really like them, but you're switching to somebody else, like everyone is replaceable. You have options. You don't have to do things the way they've always been done, or you don't have to accept a price increase because this is not the only service provider that can provide that for you. Everyone is replaceable. And so with that comes a little bit of humility. You're not all that. So everybody is replaceable.
What's the best advice you've ever given?
The best advice I've ever given is to just start. I know that we want to know where we're going. We want to know the end game. We want to know that we're going to be successful. We want to know all the steps it's going to take in order to finish. And in order to get your whole house organized, it's a lot of steps. I could come in with a team and we could have it done in a week. And we can do that. And all of that is in all the programs and products that I have. The problem is you're going to be your worker, and you also have to do all of your regular life. So you're going to do it in little 15, 20-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour segments of time, and it's going to take you a long time. But along the way, you're going to change and you're going to evolve and you're going to grow and you're going to have more information. And you can't know that in the beginning. If you're going to start a company, you can't know what it's going to be 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road. You have to just start with the knowledge you have, do the best that you can, and continue to take in new information and keep moving along towards the goal.
Yeah, it's like we need to have an idea where we're going.
Yeah.
But we can't make that the exact direction, like stops along the way, or the how we're going to get there, because that changes for everyone I talk to. It's not a linear, or it's not a straight path there. It takes them on different adventures and goals and stuff.
Yeah, and I often say those are unexpected events. Like you have unexpected events. You might have happy unexpected events. You found out you're pregnant, or you're moving, or you're getting married. And you might have some not fun unexpected events, like your parents get sick or pass away, or you get divorced, or things like that. And they're going to alter your path, but keep going.
Yes. Even if it's just 1%, you keep moving.
Yes. Yes.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Yes. Exactly. Dory.
Right?
Love Dory.
So thank you for being on with us today. Is there something that we haven't touched on yet that you would like to?
The book Escaping Quicksand, which is coming out tomorrow, really is the 10 steps to overcome the overwhelm of modern home life. And it is so hard for us to stop and see the house that we live in objectively. We don't have the time. We don't have the bandwidth. We've always lived there. There are things we wish were different about the house that we live in. And so I think really taking some time and thinking about our personal lives, ourselves, how do you put your own oxygen mask on? Those are the things that I'm going to teach you in Escaping Quicksand. Just give you a different perspective, and all of a sudden you will see your life and your household a little bit differently, and then you'll be able to take more action.
Awesome. By the way, do you plan on having it on audio?
Yes. Yep. It will release on July 1 on Audible.
Perfect. All right. So where can we go? Learn more about you, grab your book.
So Escaping Quicksand is available anywhere books are sold. And the website is organize365.com. The podcast is Organize365. And if you want to find me over on Instagram, I'm Organize365 there as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe and leave some love through a review. And I'll catch you on the next episode.